Okay, today is Tuesday the 16th, and as you can see from the top of the page, we are doing a chapter review for your test tomorrow. So we're going to cover a few different things. We're going to divide the video up into three different sections, covering the three different sections of your homework, or rather your test. And on that, the first one we're going to start with is simplifying expressions. So when you see a problem, it'll just ask you to simplify the expression. Okay, so that would be the directions for it. And then you would see a problem that would look something similar to this. And for this one, we'll just do a 4x minus a 8x. Okay, so pretty simple down-to-earth problem there. Now, what I'm going to do off to the side is put a number line, and we haven't really used a number line a lot lately, but I thought I'd put it back up there because there were a couple people that were having just a few problems trying to visualize what it looked like when you're adding and subtracting these positives and negatives. And so the line, we won't necessarily use the numbers on it, but I'm just going to use it to indicate direction to show you how I get some of the answers. Okay. So just your basic number line off to the side. Okay, so we are looking at 4x minus 8x. Now what I'm going to do is rewrite that because I don't like to deal with subtraction problems, which is what this is right here. So I'm going to go through there and rewrite that, and we're going to put 4x, and we're going to make that minus a plus, and then slide the minus over to the 8x. Okay. Now the only thing that really did was just made it more obvious that that was a negative 8x. Okay, so now when I combine those two, see, we're simplifying it. We have a negative 4x because we had a positive 4x over here and a negative 8x on the right. So when you combine those, you have a negative 4x. Now if you're having trouble visualizing that, let's go over to the number line. Okay, number line, you're going to start here at 0. And remember, anything to the left is a negative, anything to the right is a positive. So if we look at the first part of it over here, that's a positive 4x. So on the number line, you simply go over 4 spaces to the right. Okay, so you end up at that positive 4. So you end up right here. Now the second number is a negative 8x. So we start where we left off, which is right here at 4, but now we're going 8 spaces to the left. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So I went one more out there, so that's that negative 4 out there. So this is where we stopped right here. Okay, and that's why we get a negative 4. Now the fact that there's an x there is no big deal, you just add the x to it. So you treat it just like it's a constant when you're trying to add and subtract these. So the simplified version is negative 4x, and it's simplified from the original expression 4x minus 8x. Okay, so that's what you'll need to do. You'll see some that are real similar to that on tomorrow's test. Okay, so let's move this up a little bit. Okay, so let's look at another one. And this one is going to show the distributive property, because you have to distribute the 3 on the outside. So let's say 3 times and then 2 plus, we'll just keep it as x for right now, and then plus 15. So remember, we're only dealing with expressions, which means there's no equation, which also means you're not solving for a variable right now, you're only simplifying. So the first step on this is the distributive property, and what we have to do is multiply the 3 by everything inside of the parentheses. So you have to multiply it by both of those. So the 3 times the 2, let me go back to white here, will give you a 6. Okay, so that was this part right here. And then when you do the 3 times x, you get 3x. Okay, it was plus in between them, so I keep it plus down here. And then we didn't do anything with the plus 15 over here, so we just add that, so plus 15. Okay, so we did the distributive property part, which was that. Okay, and then we're going to come back and combine like terms. So looking at this, I'm going to underline like terms in red. So for the constants, we have 2 constants. We have 6 and 15. Okay, and then for the variable we have this 3x here. So there's only one 3x, so there's only one variable, so there's nothing to combine it with. So in that case we're just going to leave it by itself, so I can actually just bring the 3x down because I know that that's what it's going to be. So if I switch back to red, though, we do have the 6 and the 15, both of them are positive, so we just add them. So we have 21. Okay, so this is our simplified version of this expression right here. Okay, so remember on those distributive properties, you got to multiply them out first, and then you can go back and combine like terms. Okay, let's do one more example that you're going to see on the test on Wednesday. Okay, for the last one, let's do one, and it looks a little bit different, and you probably remember this when we start out. So if we have an x minus 4, and we're going to add that to a 3x plus 9. Okay, make my 9 a little bit better there. Alright, so we're just going to add these, but before we do it, we're just going to break them down into terms first. So below it, I'm going to write them down as individual terms. So the first one is a positive x. Okay. Okay. The next one, that minus 4 becomes a negative 4, remember? And we have a positive 3x here. And the last one is plus 9, so it's just positive 9 down here. Okay, so now we've got them written down in individual terms. That allows us to go ahead and combine the like terms. So again, I'm going to underline in red this time the variables. So here's a variable, it's an x over here, and here's an x over here. Now we do have constants here too, so we have a negative 4 over here and a positive 9 over here. So let's combine the variables first. So we have a positive 1x over here and a positive 3x over here, so we just add those. So we have now 4x's. Okay, and I'll switch back to blue. Now we're going to add the constants. We have a negative 4 and a positive 9. Okay, so that ends up, because the one's negative, one's positive, you subtract them. So 4 and 9, and that gives a difference of 5. And it's going to be a positive 5 because the 9's bigger and it's positive. Okay, so that's another way to look at it. And then when you rewrite the whole thing, it just becomes 4x plus 5. Okay, so that is now your simplified version of these two expressions. Okay, so let's go back to the top real quick and review what we've gone over. So this will be the first section of your test. Okay, so on the first one, on all of these actually, we're just simplifying the expressions. Okay, there's no equal signs in any of these. So the first one is 4x minus 8x, and I just changed that so it's 4x plus a negative 8x. Just something I like to do. And when you combine them, you end up with a negative 4x. And over here, I kind of showed that on the number line. We started out at 0, and if you have a positive 4x, you go 4 units to the right. That put us at a positive 4. And we start here again, and now we have a negative 8x, so we went 8 units to the left, and that ended us up all the way over here at negative 4. So again, if you're having problems visualizing adding and subtracting those positives and negatives, just put a number line down. Okay, so let's scroll up. Our second problem we went over was this one right here. It was 3 times 2 plus x, and then plus 15. What we did is we went through and multiplied 3 times 2 to get 6, and then 3 times x to get 3x, and then we didn't do anything with the 15, so we just brought that 15 down. Then we underlined our like terms, which in this case were a 6 and a 15, and then we only had one variable, just that 3x. So we brought the 3x down, there wasn't anything to combine it with, and then we added the 6 and 15 because they were both positive, and it gave us 21. So this was the simplified version of this original equation up here. Okay, and the last one we went over. Okay, here we had two expressions that we were adding together, and to do that we just broke them down into individual terms. So we took the x, that's a positive x, so that's one of our terms. This was a minus 4, and remember we just slid that over so it became a negative 4, so that's another one of our terms. Here we had a positive 3x, so that was down here as one of our terms. And we had a positive 9, so that's one of our terms. Okay, now we identified the variables with underlining in red, so we had 3x's over here and 1x over here, so that gives us 4x down here. And we had a negative 4 and a positive 9, and that gives us a positive 5. And I just kind of rewrote it, so 4x plus 5. So that's your simplified version. Okay, so that will be the first part of your test. So if you understand this, you can go on to the next section. And why don't I go ahead and put one out there for you guys. Let me go back to, I'll put this one in orange, and we'll make this a sample problem. I'll put it off to the side here. Let's do a distributive property one. Let's do 3, and how about x minus 1 and equals 10. Okay, so that's our star problem for the day. So you can write that off to the corner and go through it and solve it and just kind of check yourself with it, and we'll just kind of move on from there. So okay, so we'll come back in just a moment and we will get into our next set of things, which is solving equations, and we're going to go over some of the one-step problems.